and in this parliament. Someone who has served as a minister, as a parliamentary secretary, as an advocate for the electorate of Eden-Monaro. And I'm very proud to call Mike Kelly my friend. That will continue. Mike has an announcement and then I'll make some comments.
Thank you, Albo. I want to firstly begin by thanking Albo very much for being with me here today, supporting me and providing me with this opportunity to explain to my community what the situation really is, and also to thank Albo for all his support for Eden-Monaro over the years. We've worked a lot together on all the critical things that were so important to us, key infrastructure and things like the Bega bypass and helping win bipartisan support for duplication of the Barton Highway, just so many things that too many to mention. But thank you for your support for the region, for me personally, Albo. It's been a wonderful ride working with you. The most important thing I need to do today, and I apologise for distracting people from the national crisis that's confronting us at the moment, but I do need to take this opportunity to explain the situation for my community particularly. People are aware, I think, that I've been going through some health issues. These are all service related, going back to my time in the Army. On the one hand, suffered some severe episodes of dehydration, which have led to some renal issues. And of course, also in the last few weeks, the Department of Veterans Affairs has classified me as permanently impaired due to a deteriorating osteoarthritis situation, which has been exacerbated by the nature of the work in Eden-Monaro. The renal situation was at times quite serious. I've had 10 procedures in the last 6 months, and the bushfires and the coronavirus situation have in some ways masked my inability to be on the road and be out in Eden-Monaro as much as I should have or would have liked to have been. Fortunately, it's been possible for me to do my work remotely and online and on the phone through the bushfires and the rest of it. But we're coming to a time now when restrictions are likely to be eased, and it will be time for a member for Eden-Monaro to be back on that road again. And so the timing for me is about enabling that new member to do that work, to prevent myself from being in the position where I would let down my community, my caucus members and my leader by not being able to do this job to the full extent that it should be done, that the community demands and deserves. I certainly couldn't cope mentally with not being able to go full pace at this job. My whole life of 36 years of public service has been body and soul into whatever I've done. And I'm sort of paying a bit of a heavy price for that at the moment. But I would have continued on if I felt I could have done the job to the extent that it has to be done in Eden-Monaro. It is not the seat of Wentworth. It is it's larger than 66 countries, Eden-Monaro these days. It's 42,000 square kilometres of rough terrain, difficult weather, incredibly diverse, incredibly challenging, with a community that's spread out and really requires you to be on the road a hell of a lot, thousands and thousands and thousands of kilometres. And I just can't do that physically anymore. The thing is, though, that all of those characteristics are the things that I love deeply and dearly about Eden-Monaro. The reason I agreed to run for Eden-Monaro in the first place is because I have a deep, abiding love for this region that stems also from a wonderful family tradition of over 160 years of service to this community in so many ways. Every generation of my family served in the military, in all our wars. They've been the farmers that have helped build the region, helped build the key pieces of infrastructure and social infrastructure, and served this community in many, many ways, including my great-grandfather who ran for the seat in 1940 but missed out. So I was glad to have kind of brought it home for the family in that respect. And I hope that I've done my family, done them the honour that they deserve in how we've conducted ourselves. But I really do regret, and it has broken my heart to have to do this. It's gut-wrenching, as I have said, and I wouldn't be doing it if it just wasn't absolutely necessary to do it now. The medical situation that I've been through, I want to firstly thank all the doctors that have helped me through this, particularly Dr. Hodo Haxamola, who's a wonderful supporter of the veteran community, and has pioneered the techniques that have got me through this. So thank you so much, Hodo, and Dr. Sanjaya, who navigated me through the severe bout of sepsis that came along with it and all the other side effects that pretty much everything that could go wrong did. But he's out there now helping us through COVID-19, a wonderful, wonderful doctor. And of course, this week I consulted with my GP, Khalida Yasmin, who confirmed me that basically I did need to take this step if I wasn't going to be in a situation of accelerating these conditions. So thank you to that medical crew. At the same time, as I'm going through these issues, which can be managed, and I can move into, other contributions in other ways, other employment, but not in a job like this. But also, my wife is going through some health issues herself and has procedures in front of her, as I have procedures more to come in front of me, which results in weeks at a time of not being able to be on the road. But I need to be in a position to better support her through those procedures as well. And just on that, I'm talking about the family. I know a lot of politicians say that the family are conscripts and we're volunteers in this, but that would be really doing my family a disservice. Every decision that we have made about what I'm doing was done around the kitchen table. And they have always been willing servants of the nation as well. As a lot of people out there in that defence family situation will understand all of those sacrifices, all of that pain that they go through. And it was... a lot of tough times through that. So thank you for your love and support through all that, and we'll now move on to prioritise them. So I want to thank them first and foremost, but also I've had a lot of ups and downs in politics, of course, as everyone does. But I want to thank, in particular, Kevin Rudd for his support, his intention to make me Defence Minister, his backing for me to get the Australian Civil Military Centre up and running. That was a tremendous step forward for the capabilities of the nation. It helped us win our Security Council seat, and I was very proud to be part of that. Julie Gillard for eventually making me Minister for Defence Materiel. By Bill Shorten's support for my campaigns to give us a native shipbuilding naval industry and making that a bipartisan commitment now, and supporting me to be in the Shadow National Security Committee and also the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Security and Intelligence. That has been a wonderful experience of working together collegiately with colleagues across the chamber in the interests of national security and our nation generally, and that's been a really rewarding and enjoyable experience, along with working with my good friend, member for Barilaro, Julian Lisa, on the Parliamentary Friends of the Prevention of Suicide, which is a subject close to our hearts, and I really salute the work he has done, that we've done together in that space. So those are probably the most rewarding experiences in recent years. So thank you to all of those involved in that, and to Albo for continuing to support me in Shadow National Security Committee and the PJCS. Of course, I do want to take this opportunity to thank all the people who've mentored me and made me a better person, starting from a low starting point in my life, in particularly the Army mentors that I had, wonderful human beings. We've now got a Governor-General as one of them, Dave Hurley, who was CEO of 1IR in Somalia, Frank Hickling, David Hurley was just a wonderful support to me all through life and a wonderful example, but others as well, like particularly Peter Lay, just one of the finest officers I've ever served with or had the privilege of engaging with, a real intellect as well in the security space, and so many others who I can't mention today, going right back to my days at Battle Wing with the wonderful staff there in Peeps, Cowboy, Tracker and Woody. I hope you're all doing well. And also, of course, in particular, my electorate office crew, who've been unbelievably magnificent in their compassion and commitment to just helping people in their daily lives. And I want to reassure Eden-Monaro that they'll continue in that work until a by-election poll is declared, and with the same commitment and compassion that they've shown all along. So thank you for all your dedication, Robbie and Rad and Brian, Luke and Joe down in Bega. Really, we've built our reputation on caring for people, and it's so important. And of course, to my colleagues in the caucus, I wish them all the best. They're a wonderful group of people. It's been a privilege to be friends with them. I have to say, I know another phrase around here is if you want friends, you know, get a dog in politics, but I haven't found that. I don't believe I have any enemies that I've made in politics, and I have friends on both sides of the chamber. You know, in my army career, I stared into the face of true evil, whether it was, you know, genocidal warlords in Somalia or murdering militia in Timor or war criminals in Bosnia or staring into Saddam Hussein's face and in the dirty dozen, so-called, in Iraq. So it kept me in the situation where I had a good perspective on all of this. And so I treat people on the other side of that chamber who I find as decent human beings and having the national interest at heart as I find them in that way. And I do count a number of them as friends. We may have deep disagreements about policy issues, but you know, I am quite happy to call some of them friends, and I feel grateful for that experience as well, and certainly my caucus colleagues. But now, of course, the focus has to be on all of us pulling together to face the crises we're in right now. And I think for Eden-Monaro, I'm sorry to putting you to a by-election at the moment, but I do believe, you know, that with restrictions and a process of being eased in the months ahead, that will be feasible to hold a by-election and in that space as well. This is a chance for us to get our issues up in lights as a national priority. There is no area in Australia that has suffered more in recent times than Eden-Monaro. Through the drought, through into the worst bushfires in Australia, we were the centre of that crisis, and then rolling into the coronavirus issues. So they deserve to be prioritised right now, and the policies that should be put in place to help them are policies that will hopefully be then generally applicable to other areas of need in the country. And I know that the team is going to really put their best foot forward in that respect, and particularly, you know, issues like climate change as well, above and beyond all of that, that our region has been suffering from so much, and has the threat in front of them, and much worse to come unless we adopt serious policy in that respect. So I'm quite confident Albo and the team are going to come home in the next election and be able to put all those good policies in place as the country needs. And but I also wish that the country takes what we've learned out of this process to take us to a slightly higher plane in politics from some of the low levels I've seen over the last 13 years. And probably my only regret really is that 2010 leadership stuff, which you know, was so painful to go through and set everyone back, I think, on all sides of politics with the trend that was kind of set from that time. But thankfully we've moved on from that, and there's a good unified team with the good leadership that we need. So I'm confident and optimistic about the future, and now it's time to get back to work and focus on the national interest and the crisis in front of us. So thank you very much for being here today.